When I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is turn on the radio, which is at my bedside. Yes, because I've been a journalist and a program maker for so long, it is the role of the journalist and the program maker that hits me when I'm listening to the radio. But obviously, if we didn't have engineers, it doesn't matter how good the journalist is. We can't hear them. We can't read them in whichever medium, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. It doesn't matter how excellently well you read, you write. Without the engineer, you can't communicate. Then I go to the bathroom. The sink, the tap, the WC, the shower, all these things are where they are, thanks to engineers, technicians, designers. But they are not people you think of when you are in the bathroom, are they? They are not really people that you think of and think, oh, thank God for engineers, thank God for scientists. No. They are there. Sound engineers, technicians, mechanical engineers, water engineers, plumbers. My morning, everybody's morning, wouldn't be possible without these people. Then there are the various lotions in the bathroom, you know, the creams, all these things that we put on, chemists. Then, you know, you finish in the bathroom, you come back into the bedroom. Then you suddenly see your bed, closet. Then I have to iron my shirt to wear. And that means, again, engineers, carpenters, tailors make my shirt. Then I go down to the kitchen. For me, what I do is I boil some water for my coffee, and on a good day, some toast. The kettle, the refrigerator, the cup. Someone made these things, but they are not things you think about. You said the toast, the coffee, the milk, and the gentleman who shares my life says some things like bacon, sausage, baked beans, stuff like that. They come a long way from somewhere to get to our table, to the kitchen. But they are not people that you think about when you sit down and take these things for open the cupboard or open the refrigerator and they come. Oh, yes, yes, yes. By this time, I would have had to check my phone, wouldn't I? And it probably would have rung how many times already? And there would be any number of messages that would be needing my attention. I would have put on the light in how many rooms? Would I be thinking of the electrician? Then I get into my car. The engineer, the technician, the road on which I'm driving has to be made, you know. Someone has to know how to make the road. The traffic lights, they don't fall from heaven. People have some skill to make it work. Our lives generally, that's the truth, are in their hands. If I haven't yet made the point, let me try it another way. What is the biggest investment anybody makes in their lives? often it's a house. When you build or buy a house, in Ghana, we are more likely to build a house, even if sometimes it takes us 10 years or 20 years or whatever before we finish building one house. But often we do, 10, we build a house. And who are the critical people in the building of a house? In this country, you might think it's the real estate people, realtors, you call them. Or some of you might think it's your banker, because you need money to buy a house, don't you? But I'd like to suggest that the most important people are the masons, the carpenters, the electricians, the plumbers, my old friends, the plumbers, the roofing technicians, the tilers, the landscape gardeners, the painters. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If these people don't do a good job, you'll be most miserable in your house. And that is, you can't avoid it. Do I need to spell out how critical it is that they should be well-trained, well-regarded in society? And it goes without saying that their professions should therefore be well-paid. Why would we want to put our biggest investment in the hands of people we don't respect and who are not well-trained? Not everybody constructs a house or buys a house in a lifetime. But most people aspire to buy cars, don't we? Even if it's a 10-old jalopy. So the vehicle is often the second most expensive item that we all spend our money on. And who looks after this vehicle once you've bought it? It's your mechanic. In Ghana, we call him the fitter. The electrician, the upholsterer, air conditioning technician. You're getting the idea, aren't you? There's no lawyer involved in that. There's no doctor involved in that. There's none of the famous 1% involved in that, in what constitutes our everyday life. Let me look at it another way. You know, Ghana is now an oil-producing country. So the hottest courses that young people want to do these days is something to do with oil and gas. Everybody wants to do a course in oil and gas. But there's a rising crescendo against the oil companies because they say they don't have jobs for the Ghanaians to do. So I try to find out, what is it that the majority of the jobs are for the foreign oil companies, that they bring in experts to do. Then I discovered that the very highly paid jobs on the oil rigs that the foreign experts are doing are being done by welders. Shall I say that again? Welders. It isn't the lawyers or accountants or journalists or whatever the popular profession is that all the young people are trying to, but welders. And I'm just waiting to see the Ghanaian child that goes to tell his parents that when he grows up, he wants to be a welder. And imagine what the reception would be. Point I'm trying to make is that what is popular need not have very much to do with reality. I've not mentioned food. except in passing, about my morning routine. But food and waste disposal are or ought to be at the top of the most important parts of our lives. Human beings, we will always eat. We have to eat. And we have to dispose of the waste we generate. Somehow, that is a story that never gets told with any passion. Because food is there. It's there. It's always there. Or it will come. So probably until it gets to be like the plumber who comes to charge the neurosurgeon and pediatrician couple $2,000 for how many minutes work, it will never get accorded the importance that it deserves. How come that practical things, science, agriculture, have never been seen as sexy? I have a theory. I'm not sure if it's applicable outside Ghana. But I know it is a problem with us. So I'll offer it anyway. It's about the problem lies with our attitude towards mathematics and science. For reasons that I've never clearly understood, they've been projected as subjects to be feared. The teachers want us to believe that only the very, very bright kids can do these subjects. You have to be an Einstein, in other words. And when it comes to agriculture, they make out, if you want, it means that you don't have ambition. I can tell you the exact time in my school time that I went from liking mathematics to disliking it intensely. And I know the teacher who was responsible. And it's one of the happiest moments in my life that I was able to tell him so before he died, sadly. We cannot go through modern life without mathematics. And unless somehow society is able to help discard the fear of mathematics and of science as elitist subjects, which only the very bright or nerds do, we aren't going to move very far. I started this conversation just about talking about me. So let me end it talking about me again. Let's take it that you didn't know anything about me. And that shock horror, there was no Google. So and I just walked in here, stood here. You would, before I opened my mouth, you would instinctively make certain assumptions about me. Those assumptions would be made on my general appearance, my clothes, my hair. These days I cut my hair very short, so there isn't very much to make a judgment on. My nails, how I look. Therefore, I have the greatest respect for my dressmaker, because in Ghana, we really don't do about going to shops to buy clothes. We have our clothes made, okay? So here's to you, Joyce, I'm standing in front of a group of people, and I'm presentable. It stands to Joyce, stands to Anita, stands to Thelma, stands to Kakra. They are my tailors. They are responsible for my first impressions. The technical people rule our lives, and we should recognize them as such. And whether we recognize it as such or not, and accord them the importance that they deserve, it doesn't change the reality of our lives. And agriculture and food is what makes those lives possible. And it is time we started telling the agriculture story with some passion. With some passion. I'm not sure if this is the kind of thing those who invited me here were expecting. But there you are. And thanks very much for your attention.